Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tyria Then, here on Tyria Now, for episode 7 of Tyria Then, the show where we play through the Guild Wars games in chronological order. I think chronological. I'm pretty sure. They are released in chronological order. Even the novels. Anyway, tangential. With me, as always, is Miko.
Hello, everyone.
And spoiler alert, we said last episode that we were probably going to do the bonus mission, Kryta mission, and Divinity Coast mission this episode. We didn't do any of those. We did play content, though. So what we did this episode is we were having so much fun in Kryta, running around and exploring and doing quests, that we just ended up doing so many side quests that it was enough content for a full episode. So this is kind of like our first side quest only episode, I think, where we do not do any missions. So, we can still update on what happened last in the story, though. Miko, what happened in the story last episode that brought us up to this point in Kryta?
So we have arrived in Kryta, and last episode we were essentially helping the Ascalonian settlers get settled into their new home in Kryta. They're not being supported very well by the White Mantle, even though they have ceded them a portion of land. And so the Ascalonians are having to be a bit creative and make alliances for themselves. So we did some side quests kind of investigating that, helping the Ascalonians do that. And then we ran the Delesio Seaboard mission, which is the first mission where we are essentially actively working to help the White Mantle. They're trying to retrieve or defend the Scepter of Ore from a bunch of undead who have come after it. So we have to go to the Temple of Tolerance and defend Confessor Dorian, and then lead his crony, Dinas. I can't remember what we settled on.
I want to say Dinas.
Yeah. So we led Dinas back with the Scepter of Ore because he had gone off to essentially protect it. And at the end of that mission, we were essentially kind of knighted. Well, actually, we were knighted by Confessor Dorian and essentially inducted into the White Mantle.
And we have no choice in this as the player. This just happens in cutscene. I have no agency to say I do not wish to join the White Mantle.
Right.
And us being an active member of the White Mantle, we chose an interesting time to do all these side quests, because a lot of these side quests we do today are like anti-White Mantle.
Yeah.
And we're technically working for the White Mantle while we're doing this. It's very, it's kind of a bizarre position that we put ourselves in as the player character with some of the actions we take in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things we spawn in the Divinity Coast outpost at the end of Delesio Seaboard, and that's a mission outpost. So it's another back-to-back mission sort of thing, kind of like Nolani Academy and Ruins of Sirmia and whatever those two missions we did in the Shiver Peaks were. I've already forgotten them, except for the fact that Prince Rurik died.
Yeah.
But this outpost is kind of right next to a zone called Watchtower Coast, which is kind of a middle of nowhere zone. And we kind of had a rough idea of what we wanted to do this episode, because last episode we talked about maybe trying Villainy of Galrath. Mm-hmm. And so this episode we decided to both take a stab at it. And it's kind of a whole process going for Villainy of Galrath, right? And we also talked about doing that Hot Springs Murders quest that we picked up in Nebo Village. Yes. And so that was kind of the first thing on my agenda, was to do the Hot Springs Murders. So I left out of Divinity Coast into the Watchtower Coast area, and I followed my little quest marker to the next portal, which brought me to a little village called Beetletun. People who've played Guild Wars 2 will recognize the name Beetletun. And did you make it to Beetletun, Miko?
I did. Yes, I made it to Beetleton, and I was happy to see that we could get some better armor in Beetleton.
Yeah, so on my way to Beetleton, I talked with a collector in a little, like, open world village where two people live. His name is Tenlac Silverhand, which is a banging name.
That is a banging name.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, he's got a better helmet. He has a helmet with 59 armor, up from my 50. So I was like, I'll farm that helmet. Let me just stop in Beetleton to have the outpost so I can rezone farm. And then I pop into the outpost, I see there's an armor trader, and all his stuff is 59 armor. So hooray, I don't have to farm the helmet. I can just buy a new armor set. Now, in Kryta, we kind of talked about this in the last few episodes. Different climate, right? Very warm, sunny, open beaches. Aaron is getting very hot in his charhide armor. He's sweating all day, right? It's very heavy. He's carting this armor around, and he's already got to carry a big old hammer, right?
So what skin did you pick up?
Yeah, so Aaron's thinking it's time for a change, something lighter weight, something a little less stifling, something a little...
T-shirt and shorts?
Yeah, so I am now wearing the gladiator armor.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am now nearly naked. I've gone from full char hide coverage to barely, like, I couldn't walk into a restaurant in this outfit, right? It's like your top armor is like a shoulder pad and a belt, and then you've got like a battle skirt, right? Whatever the word for those is. And then some like bracers and some greaves, and he looks like a gladiator. It's pretty cool. So he's doing that now, and I think he looks a lot more at home on the sandy beaches in his scantily clad attire.
There you go. He can get a tan.
Yeah.
And maybe go for a swim.
Yeah, bingo. And the armor might be lightweight enough for him to swim in, but I don't think that's good for the leather. Did Miko pick out a new skin for armor?
Yes. Miko picked out the Drake scale armor skin.
Oh, that's tight. That sounds dope, actually.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool one.
I like this. Are we going to see this in your footage?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Once I picked it up in Beetleton, it was the thing that I started to rock. So there you go. It is also a bit less covered up in terms of warmth. There is no fur tip lining anywhere. It just looks like a better armor set for the climate.
So we're really diving deep into this role play with our attire. Which I like.
And also the necessity of the characters, because 49 is better than 40.
Bingo. Yeah. Because Rangers are medium armor, so you get a little less armor than I do. Mine is 59. And I think Warriors go up to 80. Mediums go up to 70. And light, all the spellcasters go up to 60. And I think Warriors and Paragons are the only heavy that goes up to 80. Yeah. So yeah, we've got decked out in new armor. I did make a mistake last episode. I said the skill that I'd picked up was Crude Swing. It is not Crude Swing. It is Staggering Blow.
Okay.
Crude Swing is a skill that I need. Staggering Blow is a skill that I have.
I came across Crude Swing in one of the side quests that I ran. So you might take a look at the wiki to see which one gives a skill reward for it.
Yeah, you cannot get this skill until you get to the Ring of Fire Island chain.
Serious? I thought I had seen it earlier on a side quest.
Not from a skill vendor. You could theoretically capture it from a creature, I think, but it's as far as I know, you can't get it from a quest. I could be wrong. But because I wikied how to get the skills I want to get for the build I want to play. Right. And what I was seeing was either Thunderhead Keep or Ring of Fire Island Chain for this skill. I don't remember which it was. So that was disappointing.
Marhan's Grotto and Emberlight Camp is what the wiki says.
Marhan's Grotto, yeah, which it might as well be Emberlight Camp. We'll learn more about those locations. I don't even know if we're going to go to Marhan's Grotto. There's no point in going there, story-wise.
I don't know that I've ever been there.
It's where you buy fancy armor in Southern Shiver Peaks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's you literally only go there if you're like, I want to buy the expensive armor. Otherwise, it's entirely skippable.
Right. That might be why I don't remember it.
Yeah. So before the commenters get to me, eat me alive, staggering blow is the skill I'm working with right now. I might have changed it out this episode. I don't remember. But there is one quest to get in Beetleton. Beetleton's pretty big. It's got a bunch of NPCs in it. Not a lot of them have anything to say.
No, I noticed that as well.
Because I talked to everyone, right? I ran around and I talked to everyone, and not a lot of info.
No.
But Elder Hezron has a big green exclamation mark over his head.
Yep.
His head, her head, I didn't see. I actually didn't examine this person.
Him.
Okay, I didn't actually examine this person to see what they present as. Right. But yeah, Elder Hezron has a quest for us. Basically, there's an army of undead marching towards Beetleton, and guess who's it? It's us.
It's us.
Oh, and by the way, what level are you going into this episode, and what level are you coming out?
I think I flipped over to 16 at some point. And I want to say it was probably early on, so I'm probably like 16 and a half.
Gotcha. I managed to ding level 17 in this episode. Yeah, so Aaron's really closing in on that max level of 20 in Guild Wars 1. So I'm excited to get to level 20. The XP really is a trickle, though. We did Villainy of Galrath this episode, so we got a big XP drop from that.
Yes.
So that it was what allowed me to tip the scale over. But this quest for Elder Hezron, I think, is like a pitiful 500 XP.
It is.
And it's a hard quest.
Yes.
It's really hard. I nearly wiped on this quest.
Yeah, I did wipe.
Yeah, luckily, so this army of undead is coming, and it happens right outside of the portal to Beetleton in Watchtower Coast, and you basically defend Beetleton as these waves of undead come at you, and we get, I think there's either 3, 4, or 5 of these Crichton guards.
Did they actually help you?
I waited nearby them so that they had to help me.
So I kind of went past them thinking they might follow. And
they don't follow.
They don't follow, and so I got no help.
Yeah, I forced them to help me.
And the homies.
Yeah, I waited with the guards because I was like, these guards are level 15. I need them.
Yeah.
When I saw the number of undead that were coming at me, I was like, back it up. Because these things come in like groups of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the early waves, some of them are level 1 Restless Corpses.
Yes.
But I didn't know that. So I just see like 10 red dots coming at me, and I'm like, I'm backing it up. But it does get harder.
Yes.
So each wave...
I camped to the red shrine, did you?
Yeah, I did. I sat back there, and I allowed the level 15 warrior NPCs to engage first, and then I would come in and save them. Right. So I kind of played it the opposite way that I think you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. But it's the safest, most effective way. I don't think I lost any of them. I think they all survived.
Well, that's good.
Did all of your NPCs survive?
No, because I wiped.
Right.
I died twice. Well, I think a couple of them lived, but I know I died, and so I respawned twice.
Yeah.
And I wrote down the Crichton allies did fuck all to help. That's what I wrote down in my notes.
Wow, I like how we had...
What are you doing?
We had entirely different experiences, because I found these guys incredibly helpful. Like, they're level 15, they can take a lot of damage, but I was purposefully letting them engage first. Like, I was very cruelly sending them out as cannon fodder on purpose. So I engaged in some unethical tactics to achieve victory. But I lost several henchmen. And did you remember to record this quest?
Yes, I did.
Good, because I forgot.
Yeah, well, I've got it. It's in our thing.
So we can watch Miko wipe.
Yeah,
on this
I uploaded it for you. Yeah, you can watch me res twice.
Well, this is great though, because I'm the one that wiped a bunch on Villainy of Galrath, so we can watch me wipe a bunch on that.
Yeah.
So that'll be great. But we are introduced to several new types of undead that I think it's our first time with on this quest.
Mm-hmm.
And some old types of undead that we hope to never see again.
Right.
There are smoke phantoms in this quest.
Yes. Are they the ones that are called wraiths, though, in this one?
So wraiths are different. Smoke phantoms have the same skin as like if you kneel at a grunt statue and a reaper comes up.
Yeah.
Wraiths look like skeletons almost with like a vaguely purple aura and like a black robe. I
remember the black robe, and I was like, "Are those new smoke fountains?" But I was trying not to die.
Yeah, wraiths are mesmers, I believe.
Okay.
And then there are damned clerics.
Yes, those damned clerics. Let me tell you.
Yeah, they're. I think they're like smiting protection monks.
Yes, they are.
And they're level 17. All these new undead types are very high level. So wraiths are level 17, damned clerics are level 17. Yeah. Hellhounds, which are like skeletal wargs, are level 16. And hellhounds look dope. They kind of, I think they're what Necrid horsemen are actually riding, or they look very similar to what Necrid horsemen are riding. So yeah, we have to fight all these, and then the last group has a bone dragon.
A bone dragon, yeah.
And I was actually surprised that the bone dragon was only level 18. I thought it would be higher level.
Right.
It's still it still dragged me through the mud though.
Yes.
Yeah, I lost several people on this, and I think we only survived. I think I actually had to use my res signet on this to get us through, because I think my Alicia died.
My Alicia died for sure.
Yeah,
and I was relying on the henchmen to bring her back.
Yeah,
and yeah.
This episode could just be titled "Alicia Dies."
Yeah. God,
I lost her I probably lost her over 20 times. This episode. Yeah, this quest is pretty hard. You have to kill a bone dragon, you have to kill a bunch of smoke phantoms and wraiths and damned clerics. The damned clerics look cool. They look really metal. They're like chained to the ground and like they're pretty cool, but they're also assholes. Yes. So you wouldn't think an undead would be able to do holy damage. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh no, but
undead take double damage from holy damage.
Right.
I don't agree with the very concept of the damned cleric. I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear the car alarm going off directly behind my window. But I'm not editing it out. I'm not a skilled enough audio editor. So you guys are going to have to deal with it.
It wasn't very loud. At least on my side it wasn't. So I think we're good.
Dope. Okay. But yeah, we complete this quest, wipes and all. And we head back to Elder Hezron. And he's just kind of like, thank you.
Here's your 500 XP.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the NPC gratitude in this.
Sorry if you could hear that motorcycle that just decided to roar past my
I did hear that sweet ride that just rolled by outside. We're just plagued with outside car noises today, this episode. So enjoy that. But yeah, they really need some work done on the NPC gratitude in Guild Wars 1. Like when we rescue the ashes of Duke Baradin's daughter, and he's kind of like, thank you anyway.
Right.
It's it's an interesting situation. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy that quest. It was just kind of there, and I did it for the XP.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised by how hard it was.
Yeah, I know that I had run it before.
I've never done it before.
I know I have. I'm pretty sure I have. But yeah, it was still harder than I remembered. And I thought that I was going to have to run out to the waves. But when I saw that the res shrine was there and that my Crichton allies were not coming, I was like, I'm going to just camp the shrine just in case. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of a mid quest to start off our side quest episode with, but we did a lot of other stuff as well. So moving south from Beetleton, I then headed to through Nebo Terrace to the outpost called. You know what occurred to me is that this village, I was thinking Nebo or Nebo. I think it's actually Nebo.
Nebo, huh?
Yeah, I think it's Nebo Village, Nebo Terrace. But I don't think anyone ever says it in a voice-acted piece, like line. Right. So I don't think anyone knows whether it's Nebo, or Nebo. Could go either way. I think Nebo probably sounds the best, though.
It does sound pretty cool.
And did you want to do, like, did you do the Hot Springs murder quest that we talked about last episode?
Yep, I did. And it basically, you have to go and find out. So the premise of this quest is that there have been a couple of Lion Guard who've been murdered, and Inspector Caleb, who is hanging out in Nibbo Village, is asking you to find out what actually happened, because the main suspects are the Shining Blade. And so the Shining Blade are a group that we've not heard of before. This is the first time we hear of them. We don't learn too much about who they are. But he wants you to go to Bergen Hot Springs and find out what you can, because the murder took place there.
Yep.
And so you go off, and he said, go and find 4 witnesses to the murder of the 2 Lion Guard.
And we got to talk to all 4 of them, don't we?
All 4 of them, yes. And they're all over. They're all spread out. So you kind of have to ping pong between them.
Yep. And they all kind of have, like, they all have names. Their names don't really matter. There's a guy named Andar, and he says he won't talk to us because we're a foreigner.
Yep.
And then he points us, and we got to go talk to a guy named Daniel. And he says he didn't see anything, but he heard a shriek, and that he saw the murdered bodies of the 2 Lion Guard. And he blames it on a, quote, Ascalon woman.
Right. Yep. And so when you go and talk to, and the Ascalonian is Penelope Randell.
And all these NPCs are dressed for their culture. So
yes.
Penelope is dressed the same way as we see women dressed in, like, pre-searing Ascalon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's the one who tells you that she wouldn't tell Inspector Caleb what she knew because she didn't trust him. But because you're not Crichton, she tells you that she thinks it was the White Mantle who murdered the Lion Guard, because she saw them arguing while she was getting water for the Ascalon settlement.
And she calls the White Mantle little better than thugs and no better than the Char. Mm-hmm. So strong White Mantle feelings from
very much so.
Ascalonian Penelope.
Mm-hmm. And she later had found out or heard that the Lion Guard had been murdered, and so she suspected that it was the White Mantle because she had seen them arguing. And since she doesn't trust the White Mantle, she's pinning it on them.
And then, did you write the name down of the guy that we got to go talk to next?
Yes. So when we go to turn the quest in to Inspector Caleb, he's all
wait.
Actually, what?
Before then, we have to talk to a guy named Layman Joseph.
Oh yeah, Layman Joseph also doesn't want to. He's the 4th of the witnesses.
I love that this guy's name, his, like, profession is layman.
Yeah.
That's what he is. He is a layman.
Yes, he's a layman. He's retired.
I don't know what that what that means, but I guess he's like an old man, right?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do much, but he's just there. And he's very pro White Mantle. He refers to the Shining Blade as, quote, a band of murderers. Yes. And he's convinced they did the murders, despite the fact that we haven't really heard any evidence supporting that theory so far. So he's our 4th witness, and then we can go back to Inspector Caleb.
Yeah, and once we get back to Inspector Caleb, he is like, hey, thanks, but I've been taken off the case. Go and talk to that guy who's standing there. And that guy who's standing there is Inquisitor Gilead, who is a member of the White Mantle. And he takes the witness statements from you and says, I'll take those papers from you. Thanks for your help. The Lion Guard are obviously undermanned, so the White Mantle will be taking over the investigation. Your service to the people of Kryta has been noted. And I'm like, well, shit. We just gave this guy the witness statements that included one from a former, one of our own people. Yeah. That's not good.
It's like very clearly the game is illustrated, because we've already done some quests where the White Mantle maybe seem a little off or a little unsavory. Mm-hmm. And then this quest is the game kind of beating you over the head with, like, hey, the White Mantle are bad. So because they're clearly taking jurisdiction over to cover up the murders that their soldiers committed against the Lion Guard. Yeah. And Penelope is probably going to disappear.
Yeah, and I went looking because I was like, oh my gosh, that's not good for the Ascalon settlement. I know that it survives because I've played Guild Wars 2, but still, that's not good for the Ascalon settlement, and I'm really worried about Penelope now. Yeah. So I went and wikied to see, is there a follow-up quest to this? But no, there's not.
Yeah, this is, given the prophecy is the first game, not a lot of quests get chains, not a lot of quests get follow-up.
Yeah, it's kind of like that one that you now I can't remember which one it was. It was like in episode 2 or something, that you had run that we were like, well, why isn't there it was for the Eldritch Sextants. Right,
yeah, no, I still need to know what what the verdict is on Eldritch Sextants.
Right, okay? And like what happened to them, or what are they?
Why are they Eldritch? And what do they do that promotes Eldritchism? I need to know these things.
Why are they valuable trade commodities to bribe people with, apparently?
Listen, if we ever do a developer interview, I've got like 12 questions about Eldritch Sextants.
Yeah, seriously.
So whatever Guild Wars 1 developer wants to come on this podcast and talk to me about Eldritch Sextants, just be prepared for that.
Yeah, please do.
I'm sure they all listen to our podcast. The 2 guys working on Guild Wars 1 right now, they listen every Monday, first thing in the morning. I'm convinced of this.
Yeah, but what I did find out from the wiki is that Penelope apparently does survive.
Is she come in like at a later point in the game, or?
Well, she's an NPC that's apparently in war, that shows up in Nebu Terrace, not in Ascalon settlement.
In War in Kryta.
In War in Kryta.
I can't wait to get to Guild Wars Beyond.
Well, yeah, but it's like, well, I know I've been to Nebu Terrace during War in Kryta. I don't remember meeting her there.
There is also there's a lot of little flavor things in Guild Wars Beyond that I never engaged with. Because I watched all of Wooden Potatoes, like very thorough Let's Play of the first games, right? Mm-hmm. And he was pointing out all this stuff in like Guild Wars Beyond that I never even glanced at. So we've got like a whole box of goodies to open up 8 years down the line when we get to that point.
When we get to that.
Yeah, exactly. And you did mention that during this quest is when we first hear a mention of something called the Shining Blade. Which Crichtons the White Mantle at least wants Crichtons to believe are a kind of thug organization, criminals, murderers, right? Mm-hmm. Anyone who plays Guild Wars 2 is going to be familiar with the Shining Blade in a very different capacity. The Shining Blade are kind of like the FBI of the Crichton government in Guild Wars 2. Mm-hmm. So the humble beginnings for the Shining Blade. And we're going to hear a lot more about the Shining Blade in upcoming episodes. Maybe even upcoming episode very soon. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the Hot Springs Murder Quest is kind of your classic, like, ooh, the local government is murdering people and covering it up, right? What are we going to do about these guys? Spoiler alert, we're working for the White Mantle right now. We're an anointed knight of the White Mantle. So Aaron, he has a very small brain, right? Not a lot of, he's got like a double-digit IQ. And his very tiny brain has a very fixed notion of morality. And he's kind of struggling right now with being a White Mantle member. He doesn't know if it's such a good idea after doing this quest. So that might affect some of his decision making in the later parts of the game. That's how I'm choosing to roleplay this scenario. I think this is working as intended. And then we had a few other quests in Kryta before. So Villainy of Galrath is kind of our big set piece quest for this episode. Mm-hmm. And we kind of like I brought up the Orion excavation quest last episode, and Miko hadn't done it. She decided to run it this episode. So how was Orion excavation?
It was pretty easy.
Yeah, it's an absurdly easy quest.
And you get you basically just have to go Magi Malaquire, great name.
That is a great name.
Yeah. He wants you to go and collect some Orion tablet shards, which ironically drop from level 10 enchanted clay.
And there's about 15 of these clays. And
a bajillion of them, yeah.
These tablets have a 100% drop rate.
Yeah.
So there's more than enough of these that drop. It's like massive overkill.
Mm-hmm.
Did you pick them all up?
I did.
I picked up 5 and fucked off.
No, I was like, I'm gonna pick them all up because I can't stand to see them all on the ground.
Did that benefit you in any way?
No, he still only took 5. I mean, he took them all, but he, ostensibly the game thought how it only gave him 5.
It would have been great if you could like take him all 25 and he's like, hey, thanks for bringing extra. Here's 500 gold.
Yeah.
But he won't do that. He will simply take 5 and tell you to dump the rest in the river.
Yeah. The coolest part about this quest wasn't even the quest itself, but was while I was running out to the location to kill the enchanted clay, which are basically stone elementals. I came across a boss, a Murgoyle, Mesmer Murgoyle boss called Slick Sandhopper.
I like that.
I liked the name, so I was like, yes, okay, I'm gonna go kill that guy because I like his name.
I feel like if we get through an episode of the show without bringing up a cool boss name, Guild Wars has failed us.
Yeah, there are a lot of cool boss names.
Yeah, integral. I can't wait till we get to what's that area called? The Sorrow's Furnace. I can't wait till we get to Sorrow's Furnace because there are so many bosses and all their names are fucking wild. So I'm really excited about some of those. We're gonna do that after we beat Prophecies. We're gonna do some post endgame stuff.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, he sends Magi Malaquire is like researching ore, and he sends us after these enchanted clays because these Orion tablet shards, he can like use them to reconstruct old manuscripts from ore and maybe learn something about the Orion kingdom and people. And he says that it's all contributing towards his research on a new way to, quote, capture skills. So it's a little bit of like blending of gameplay and like role play, right? Because capturing skills in the context of like NPC dialogue, like what does that even mean, right? But he's letting you know that he's setting you up for a signet of capture. So that's one of the rewards from this quest, and that's why I think it's such a valuable quest to do, because you can get a signet of capture. And I didn't think of it before, but since Miko brought it up at the beginning of this episode, I'm probably going to use that signet of capture to get Crude Swing as early as possible.
I think you can pick it up in North Credit Province.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go out and do that, so I won't have to wait until Emberlight Camp to get a simple skill.
Serious, and then you can turn in, because he gives us the capsig for Malaquire's test, and I think he gives us another one once you turn in that quest, so you might end up with another one.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if there's another one after, then I'm in. Did you use your capsig yet?
Nope, not yet. I'm
Gotcha.
trying to save it.
Yeah. I might just load up on them at the skill trainer while my skills are cheap. Because I'm like, I don't know how. I know I need a few more skills, but not too many more. Just an elite skill, just Crude Swing, and then I'm like cooking with fire.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sadly, won't be able to. You know what I could do? That would be like cheesy. I could do the quest to go to Nightfall and get Whirlwind Attack, but that wouldn't be in the spirit of my playthrough, so I'm not going to do that. But Whirlwind Attack, a grade warrior skill. So yeah, we worked a little bit for Magi Malaquire. You turned me on to a quest that I missed, Graven Images.
Yes.
Which is just sitting in the middle of a Crichton swamp.
Yeah, pretty much.
That I never went to. The game did not take me here in my playthrough last episode. Did you do this quest last episode?
No, I did it for this one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a guy sitting in the middle of a swamp in North Krita Province named Archivist Ithamar.
Sounds like he's got a lisp.
It sounds like he sounds Gondorian. It sounds like he's in a Tolkien novel. Obligatory Lord of the Rings mention for this episode. There's a lot of things that must be mentioned each episode of Tyria then, and Lord of the Rings is one of them. Yeah, it's now a requirement. Yep. And he basically says that he's having trouble inscribing some of the runes on the ruins in the swamp because the nightmares keep attacking him. Now, nightmares, I think, are new for us, right?
No, I think we saw them in the bonus for the one where we were trying to get into Lion's Arch.
Yeah, you might be
Our
right.
passport stamped. What was that mission called?
That bonus was the Smoke Phantoms. I don't think I got Nightmares.
Probably saw Nightmares though. I thought.
I don't think I did.
Maybe
you ran somewhere that I didn't run, and there's a pop-up spawn of Nightmares there that I did not encounter. This is Aaron's first time with Nightmares. Miko, it looks like, was industrious and found them beforehand.
Yeah.
They're
right. It was Smoke Phantoms. Yep.
These ones are pretty easy. They're level 15, I think.
Yep.
And I think they're just called Nightmares, right?
Yes.
There's no descriptor for them because they're not high enough level yet. We're gonna find some higher level Nightmares later in this episode. So you attack him. You don't attack him. That's you defend him as the Nightmares attack him. There's like 2 or 3 waves of them. I think they're pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. They're pretty easy. Yeah.
And he says he's going to take his engravings back to his workshop to decipher. Do you know if there's a follow-up to this quest?
Nope. No follow-up.
That's a bummer, because it seems like a quest that would have a very interesting follow-up.
Yeah, he's only involved in this one, which is a bummer. Like you said, there's a lot of these. Like, I mean, we've mentioned this now a couple of times. Yeah, the quests that kind of leave us hanging, that we're like, but what happened then?
Like in Ascalon, when Witness Rastin said he was going to cleanse the land of the restless dead.
We never got to see that. So
that's really important, right? Mm-hmm. And then the game just kind of leaves it. He's like, thanks, I'm going to do that. And in Krita in particular, there's a whole lot of, like, here's a historian. They want to know things about ore. Bring them this thing for them to translate, and then never hear from them again. Right. It's the whole bonus to Gates of Krita. It's what we do for Magi Malaquire, and it's what we do for Archivist Ithamar. Mm-hmm. So yeah, lots of helping historians and getting 0 payoff from it, lore-wise.
Yeah.
In Krita.
Historians are stingy. They don't want us to like plagiarize their work or something. Yeah,
no, it's a serious problem in Krita. Also, they're probably working in secret because I think anything not glorifying the unseen ones is confiscated by the White Mantle.
Probably. I mean, you know what? You're probably not wrong.
Yeah. Come to think of it, they probably are working under extremely oppressive conditions. Mm-hmm. As far as additional quests for this episode, I think, because one of them is out of Temple of the Ages. Yes. But Temple of the Ages is a location that we need to go to stage our expedition for the Villainy of Galrath quest. So, just really quick regarding the Villainy of Galrath, it's from First Watch Sergio in LA, who we spoke with last episode. I think to get some other quests and to look at skills.
Yes.
And just to get like general background on the Lion Guard. Mm-hmm. And he says that a former Lion Guard named Galrath has defected and is hanging out with a bunch of bandits in a place called Kessex Peak. Mm-hmm. And if you pull up your map after taking this quest, you can see it is way down the Crichton Peninsula in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
It is basically like one of the most remote regions of Krita, and this quest takes you all the way to the very tippy bottom of it. And he says Galrath is trying to unlock the secrets of something called the Wizard's Tower. Yes. This is a location that is in Guild Wars 2, and it's, as far as I understand, I have not played this content in Guild Wars 2, but I think it has become relevant again in the current...
It has, yes.
Yeah.
I have not played through that content either, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm actually, you know what's crazy? I'm trying to save it for the show, but we're not going to get there until like 10 years from now when Guild Wars 2 is probably not even online anymore. So I should probably just play it now. But we'll see if I get around to it. But I'm busy doing it in Guild Wars 1, so it doesn't matter.
There you go.
So yeah, we gotta kind of leave LA towards Temple of the Ages on this quest. How did your trek to the Temple of the Ages go?
It was a long trek. I think it took longer to get to Temple of the Ages than it did to actually do the quest for Villainy of Galrath once I got out of the Temple of the Ages. But yeah, it was a long I tried to follow the path essentially out from Beetleton Brigand Hot Springs, Nebo Village. So you're kind of going along that northern route. It sort of takes you on a straight shot, sort of, up to Temple of the Ages. You have to zig and zag a little bit around North Kryta in order to get there. But, you are hampered by enemies. And so it just took a while.
Did you, so you got to use level 12 henchmen for this journey. And yes. You're pretty fine through Nebo Terrace, right? You got to go into an area adjoining called the Cursed Lands. Yes. Very creative name. Mm-hmm. And it's just full of undead, but you're mostly fine in there as long as you aggro smartly. And then you get into a place called the Black Curtain. And
that Black Curtain is, yep.
Enemy levels go up here.
Very much so. They hit very hard. Your henchmen, your henchmen can barely keep up.
Yeah, they can't hack it.
Alicia dies a lot.
My team blew through all our reses, and Claude was dead when we limped through the portal to the Temple of the Ages. Yeah. We couldn't res them. We blew through all of them. Alicia and Claude were both dead. I did run into a boss in Nebo Terrace, which was an executioner boss. And I thought this was interesting because the standard level for executioners is 18, and this boss is only level 16.
Yeah.
And they had to do that because Nebo Terrace isn't really a level 18 enemy area. Mm-hmm. Even though Scoundrel's Rise is for some reason, even though it's way earlier in the game. I don't know. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to this.
No.
But yeah, once you get to the Black Curtain, anything that used to be like level 13 is now like level 17.
Yeah.
Including skeleton bowmasters.
Yes. And the my party pretty much all wiped, and except I think it was me, Orion, and maybe Dunham, who lived right outside of Temple of the Ages. The rest of them just all died to the Reed Stalkers.
So spawns are pretty, enemies will spawn in the same vague location every time you zone into a map, but it can vary, within that location, how they're spaced out and stuff. I got lucky with my spawn, and I was able to run past the Reed Stalkers into the portal. But if they're spaced out a certain way, you can't avoid them.
Right.
And yeah, Reed Stalkers are... I have very little memory of Reed Stalkers from the game because, they're never really stood out as difficult enemies. If you're trying to do this with a party of henchmen and you've got a bunch of warriors in your party, Reed Stalkers have a skill called Clumsiness, which is a hex that they put on you. It lasts for 6 seconds, and if you attack while this hex is on you, your attack fails and you take 80 damage. Mm-hmm. So when you have 3 warriors in your party,
it's a bad time.
You go down pretty quick to 6 Reed Stalkers with Clumsiness. So the Reed Stalkers were the bane of my existence for getting through this area, funnily enough. Yep. Yeah, they were wretched to deal with. Did you kind of explore around to Temple of Ages once you got in there?
A little bit. I refrained from going up to the different temple, or what is it called? The different god statue locations that you can get different blessings at.
Yeah, the god statues, they each have a plaque that has a mile-long sermon on it, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not strong enough to read that. Mm-hmm. I can't do that. But we did mention last episode that Alicia, the healer henchman, was hey, Temple of the Ages is nearby. I want to go there.
Yeah.
So it's a really old human temple. It's one of the, I don't know if it's the first one in Kryta, but it's a very old one.
Did you talk to her in Temple of the Ages? Because I forgot to see if she had any different. I wonder if she has any different dialogue.
That's a great question, and if I was a more competent Tyrian lore scholar, I would have investigated. but I've failed you in this regard, and I understand if you don't want to do the show with me anymore.
It's okay. We'll try to remember and get it for sometime.
Yeah, I did lore dive a little bit here, though.
Yeah.
Did you talk to Brother Theophilus in the middle of the temple?
No. I talked to the other brother, the one that... Wait, is he the one that...
No, Brother Mizar is the one who has the quest.
Right, okay.
Brother Theophilus is the podium guy for Temple of the Ages.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, then no, I did not talk to him this round.
Yeah, he's got some little trivia. He's like, the temple is as old as Kryta, and that he tells us that Kryta, the nation, formed from uniting various tribes into a monarchy. So that's interesting. It kind of explains the kind of tribal look that a lot of Krytan citizens have, because they formed from indigenous tribes. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
He says the swamps have always been a final resting place for the dead. And that kind of carries over. Sense. Yeah, that carries over into Guild Wars 2 big time. If you go to the ruins of the Temple of the Ages in Guild Wars 2, it's a haunted swamp. So that's very cool. He says that Grenth's statue was the first statue at the temple, but the others followed. So it's kind of always been, a place that's been very deeply in tuned with death. So it kind of gives some good flavor for what the temple is. Theo believes, I called him Theo in my notes because I can't write Theophilus. Brother Theophilus believes that each god has something for everyone, and that dedicating oneself to just one god is stupid. So he's like, warriors worship Balthazar, elementalists worship, whatever their element thing is. And he's like, I think that's dumb. I think everybody should worship all the gods.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably smart, right? If you've got a bunch of gods, why wouldn't you want as many of them as possible in your corner? That makes sense to me. Yeah. So obviously this place is kind of an illicit location within the White Mantle, for want of a better term, empire. Right. Because they worship the unseen ones, and they have outlawed the worshipping of the 5 gods, which is who we have worshipped at this temple. I believe there is a shrine for each god at Temple of the Ages. I saw Dwayna, I saw Lissa, I saw Balthazar, Grenth, and Melandri. That's all 5. Yep. Mm-hmm. And there's also an NPC here by the Dwayna statue named Salma.
Yeah.
Did you talk to her?
No, I forgot.
It's okay. She doesn't have anything to say. But it is the Salma that is going to become relevant in Guild Wars Beyond. She's got the same skin, so you can tell it's her. It's a unique NPC model. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she was always there or if she was added there post Guild Wars Beyond. I think she was added there because they didn't have models that look that good when Prophecies came out. So it's like a bizarrely better looking model than everything else around. So I think she's new with Guild Wars Beyond, new quote unquote 2011. But the big reason we needed to get here for doing the Villainy of Galrath quest is that you can have an 8-person party in Temple of the Ages.
Very important.
And B, the henchmen are level 15 here.
Also very important. And
despite both of these factors, I still wiped multiple times on this.
Yeah.
And the reason you can have an 8-person party here is because this is a staging ground for endgame content. Mm-hmm. You can bring up the Reaper of Grenth and the Avatar of Balthazar at the Balthazar and Grenth statues, and they will teleport you to the Underworld and to the Fissure of Woe, which are endgame farming locations. They're kind of like big mega dungeons, for want of a better word. And they're pretty cool. The Underworld is supposed to be like the realm of Grenth, so like his god plane, right? And the Fissure of Woe is supposed to be like the eternal war area that Balthazar rules over. It's like a section of it. So those are pretty cool. We haven't decided how we want to tackle those yet on the show. Because you can't do them with henchmen. Like, if you try to do them with henchmen, you will get through maybe one mob before you die.
Right.
They're meant to be done with players, with builds and strategies. So maybe we'll, assemble a wrecking crew for that down the line. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, we leave Temple of the Ages with our 8-person level 15 party. And like Miko mentioned, there is a quest to grab in Temple of the Ages from a guy named Brother Mizar. Did you grab it?
I did. Yes,
and
it is called the False Gods.
Yeah. What's that quest about?
So he is trying to prove that the White Mantle are essentially shysters, and that the unseen that they worship are basically false. That's all made up, and that it's their attempt to use this ruse of worshiping these gods to usurp power in Kryta. And so he wants you to go out and find a White Mantle priest called Abbot Ramoth, who is going to be journeying through the Black Curtain, and grab him a copy of what he calls their most secret holy tome, the so-called Litanies of the Unseen.
Yes. Was this quest hard?
No.
No, this quest is absurdly easy.
Yes.
Which
is surprising because it gives you like 750 XP.
It does, yeah. I think when they made this quest, they were like, this is really hard. Abbot Ramoth is a level 20 monk, right? This is not hard. Yeah. I'm doing this like with about as vanilla a build as possible. Like all my skills are Guild Wars Prophecies. I'm like the right level for this. I'm taking the henchmen that are the right level for this. And it's absurdly easy.
Yeah.
Abbot Ramoth is level 20, but Abbot Ramoth is not connected to the rest of his White Mantle allies, like in the script. Oh. So you can aggro all the White Mantle except Abbot Ramoth.
Yep, kill them all and
then just beat him down 8-on-1. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And did you notice that the White Mantle seem to be friends with the local bog scale?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just hanging out together, and the bog scale are not attacking the White Mantle.
Yeah, makes you wonder.
Yeah. Again. I'm starting to think there might be something to these unseen ones. But maybe something not so savory. Because it's like you said, Mizar thinks that they're just a complete crock of shit. Mm-hmm. They're not quite a complete crock of shit. There is something to the unseen ones. But we're not going to find out about it. We're going to find out about it a little more in the next episode. Because we're going to be doing Divinity Coast, and then we're going to be doing a bonus mission pack, which is pretty exciting. But for the purposes of this quest, we bring him back the book, and he's like, hey, I'm going to use this to discredit what the White Mantle's teachings. And
thanks.
Yeah. Lots of XP, though, so that was nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What I like about this quest, again, is that we're not just, like, solving a murder. We're literally murdering, like, other White Mantle people while I am an anointed knight of the White Mantle.
Yeah.
Like, a couple days ago, Confessor Dorian himself promoted me to a Knight of the White Mantle, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go kill Abbot Ramoth and steal their sacred text. Sure.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say that the thing that's kind of ironic here is that there is no acknowledgement from the NPCs that you're out fighting, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, why are you attacking us? You're one of us. And there is none of that, which maybe would have happened, or might happen in, like, a game like Guild Wars 2. But in Guild Wars 1, no.
Yeah, and there's no mention by the temple NPCs that, like, hey, aren't you with the White Mantle?
Yeah.
What are you doing here? I'm not worshiping the 5 gods. Right? Like, They should be either killing me, like, they should be openly hostile or, like, very secretive in their dialogue interactions with me as a White Mantle Knight. But instead, Brother Theophilus is like, let me tell you everything about what we do here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a little bit of dissonance there in terms of what's going on with the story versus...
I'm choosing to believe that it's because that we're Ascalonians and we also worship these gods, that maybe they think, hey, maybe these Ascalonians... They're all right with us. Yeah, no,
like for Aaron, like I said, he's not the brightest bulb in the bunch, but we've experienced so many quests now where the White Mantle seems shady that even Aaron is starting to be like, hey, wait a minute. I don't think I like these guys very much.
Right.
So it's kind of like dissonant with what we're going to be doing in the next episode, because we start out the Divinity Coast mission still like teamed up with the White Mantle. But you know, you can only roleplay as far as the game lets you.
Yeah, pretty
right?
much.
And at some point we do need to get through the game. So that's kind of a fun quest as far as just being completely backwards with where we are in the story right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not supposed to really get to the Temple of Ages till later, I think. I don't think it's a zone that the game doesn't take you to at all, first of all. Yeah. It's for endgame content to be done with a group of 8 at level 20. So I don't know if it was with the game at release or if it was added after. But I think Mizar's quest might be something that you're supposed to like just kind of do for fun after you kind of know what's going on with the story. So I think we did it a little early. But that being said, if you do Villainy of Galrath, like Villainy of Galrath takes you right past Temple of the Ages. So yeah, I don't know. But that's kind of the final non-Galrathian quest that we did for this episode.
Right.
Galrathian.
Galrathian. That was good.
That's what I'm going to be using to refer to giant pain in the ass quests going forward. I will refer to them as Galrathian. Because Villainy of Galrath is a really long quest. It takes you from North Kryta Province to Nebo Terrace to Cursed Lands to Black Curtain, finally down to Keswick's Peak.
Yes.
Did you have any issues getting through Black Curtain?
So, I mean, we're fighting more undead and all of that. It wasn't too bad. I didn't really encounter any trouble. It was more of a let's get your sense of direction. And I think I ran into some more bone dragons and some of their friends.
Yep, there were bone dragons for sure.
Yeah, ancient oak hearts.
Yeah, there's a level 28 oak heart called the Tree of Judgment.
Yeah.
I think Brother Mizar. Did you explore some of Brother Mizar's other dialogue?
No.
He rattles off a big list of like bosses that are just hanging out in the Black Curtain. And he's like, you could go kill these guys if you want, but there's no quest for it. He just tells you about a bunch of bosses that are out there.
I wonder if that's for, like, capturing skills.
It might be. Yeah, it might be related to that in some way. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I just thought that was, it was bizarre. But, yeah, the Tree of Judgment was one of those.
Yeah, and forest minotaurs are out there.
Yeah.
On the trek down to Keswick's Peak as well, before you actually zone into...
Are they level 19 or level 20? Level 19, I think.
I want to say they're 19.
Yeah, they're...
Like, there's a lot of them. I gotta be careful.
Well, and they're about as interesting as the first Minotaur, as the first Minotaurs we encountered in the snowy place, the Shiver Peaks. Yeah. They're warriors, and they have, like, one skill, and they don't hit very hard, but they come, like, 12 at a time.
Right.
They don't really give you any trouble. You can like double aggro these guys and you're fine. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they were kind of at the bottom of the zone, and they're kind of what's guarding the portal to Keswick's Peak. Yes. Black Curtain, not too bad once you have the level 15 henchmen and the 8-man party.
Yeah.
Keswick's Peak, for me, fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that is the place. And I remember, once you zone in, because the first thing that you run into are fog nightmares.
Loads of them.
Yes. And I was like, oh, right. I remember these assholes.
And these aren't the regular nightmares that we fought defending that historian guy in the swamp. These ones are roided up. They're level 20. And they're all pop-up spawns. So the area you see in front of you is blank. There's no enemies there. And they pop up. Reed Stalkers pop up. And those little fucking shits, the monks, the seeds, the aloe seeds, they pop up, and the triumvirate of these 3 fucking enemy types ambushing you,
so annoying you,
because
they're so annoying.
Yeah, because you feel like I gotta kill the Reed Stalkers because they're the primary issue for my warrior comp. But then everyone's getting healed by the aloe seeds, so I gotta go kill those. But while I'm killing the aloe seeds, I'm dying to clumsiness from the Reed Stalkers. There's like 8 of the fog nightmares that are all using God knows what armor ignoring necromancer skills on. It's a shit show. I died. I wiped here. This was my first wipe.
Well, and and the problem is because running through with with henchmen, you can't micromanage them like individually.
Nope.
Like you can with heroes. Like you can with the heroes, which you can get later on in like factions and
I've got a hero. His name is Mox.
Mox, yeah, but you're not using him, I hope.
I'm not, no.
But maybe you should have for this quest.
Well, that's why I conveniently didn't record the Undead Hordes quest, because I could only beat it using Mox.
Oh, okay.
That's a joke. I did not use Mox.
Oh, okay. Well, with the heroes, you can actually like flag them individually, so you can kind of like tell them, here, you go take care of this area. I'll take care of this area and that one over there. No, because with henchmen, you can only flag the entire group of them. So I was basically trying to get them not to stand in the poisoned water, because that's important.
That's another aspect of just the plethora of things dragging me down in this entrance. This is all like within the first 10 feet of entering Keswick Peak, by the way.
Yeah, before like you cross the bridge and they're like, hello, welcome to Keswick Peak. We're going to fuck your shit up.
Yeah, 3 different flavors of pop-up mobs in very large numbers and poison water. I could not handle it.
Yeah.
So I had to wipe.
Once you get past them, then you leave the swampy area, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is a nice part of Kryta.
It's a very pretty zone once you get through the swamp entrance.
Did you run into fen trolls as well?
Yeah, just hordes of them. Just shitloads of them. I don't think we've run into trolls before in the game yet. I think these are our first trolls.
Yeah.
And they're level 20.
Yep, they are.
And I believe they're actually... So we're going to run into trolls later. And the ones we run into later are actually going to be lower level than these ones. So these are like... We're running into the higher level ones early because we decided to do this optional quest.
Right.
And they're not too bad, I don't think.
No, they weren't too bad.
They're kind of like the Minotaurs. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And they're patrolling too. So out in the fields of Keswick Hills, they're kind of patrolling back and forth. And you have to be careful about when you pull what mobs and what patrol paths are going by.
Yeah. But the interesting thing, like they don't really look very trolly. They sort of look more lizardy. Yeah,
this is another example of Guild Wars' kind of unique approach to traditional fantasy monsters. Guild Wars likes to set itself apart from traditional fantasy and like turn tropes on their heads a little bit. They completely redesigned trolls from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2, and it's really disappointing because they look wild in Guild Wars 1 and they look really boring in Guild Wars 2. So I quite like the funky ass design of the trolls in Guild Wars 1. They're like they've got like no neck but like really broad shoulders.
And huge teeth.
Yeah, and huge mouths and teeth. They look fucking wild.
Yeah.
So I love the trolls in Guild Wars 1, but they just turn them, they like kind of just look like Grawl in Guild Wars 2, which is very uninspired. But yeah, Guild Wars 1 trolls. Visually very fun, very wacky.
Yeah.
And there's going to be trolls all throughout like the rest of Prophecies in like escalating forms, escalating Pokemon evolutions.
Right.
So yeah, I did deal with those. You had a bad time with the O cards, didn't you?
Yes, because the wiki tells you, hey, when you turn the corner and you find the O cards, they're also going to be with some Minotaurs.
I know the exact spot you're talking about.
Yeah, because the O cards are up on a ridge, and really what the O cards do is they throw rocks at you, which do damage you and also knock you down.
Yeah.
And what you really need to do is kind of pull the Minotaurs, and if you've got trolls, you want to make sure that you're killing them first. So I tried to do that. And then I was like, well, the O cards. I mean, if I just run up the hill, I'll be able to, like, kill them. Well, I never got to that point. My entire party, except for, like, 2 people, wiped. It was me. Actually, no. Yeah, 2 people. It was Alicia died right away. I mean, she just could not keep up, like, with healing. So it was me, Orion, and Reyna, the other ranger, were the only ones who survived. And I had to pull out some cheesy stops to get my party back because I didn't want to suicide myself, and because the res shrine wasn't nearby. So I used a scroll of resurrection to get everyone back.
Oh, okay. So we popped out some consumable action.
I did, and then I had some pumpkin cookies, so that I could get some 10% morale boost to take off some of their death penalty.
Does the pumpkin cookie apply the morale boost to the whole party?
I was hoping it would, but I didn't actually look it up. Because it didn't actually say in the description in the item.
We should actually talk about death penalty here, because death penalty is something I really started to have to deal with in this quest. When you die in Guild Wars, you resurrect with something called death penalty. It's a little thing in the corner of your screen. It says minus 15% in a red box. And it basically means you have 15% less health. Death penalty. You can stack this up to 60%. I think Alacia died the most for me, and she definitely was just sitting at 60% death penalty pretty much the whole time in Kessex. And then I died because I'm the main tank. I'm running in first, so I died a lot, and I had like 50 or 55% death penalty or something. And then like everybody else in my party had some degree of death penalty because there's not a lot of bosses to kill for morale boosts. So yeah, I really had to struggle with death penalty. You do get it removed based on getting XP. Yeah. But with an 8-person party, you don't really get a lot of XP from mob kills. So yeah, I was limping through Kessex Hills covered in death penalty from head to toe.
And the wiki does say, because I did check now, that the pumpkin cookie only affects you, not your entire party. Which, there went my attempt at a strategy. I was like, well, I got myself a 10% boost. Sorry, y'all.
I mean, better you than not at all, right?
Yeah.
I actually, so you wiped, you managed to run away, so you didn't have to go all the way back to the res shrine.
No, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't have to go all the way back to the res shrine, and I didn't die to the oak hearts, so yay for that. But I did have to bring my party back.
Yeah, because I know the spot you're talking about, and there's a group of oak hearts, there's 2 patrolling minotaur groups, and there's a patrolling troll group. So you can aggro 4 groups at once if this spot goes wrong, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took this spot really, really, really slow because there's just crap loads of mobs that you can all draw to you.
And it is essentially like the choke point right before you turn the corner and get into the last area at the bottom of the peak where you will actually then run up and get to Galrath.
And the wizard's tower is there.
And the wizard's tower is there. Yes.
And it looks really cool.
It does.
It's a floating castle in the sky on a floating island. It's tight. It's very, very cool looking. It looks it obviously has a lot more polygons in Guild Wars 2, but it looks just as cool as it does in Guild Wars 2 in Guild Wars 1.
Yeah.
And in Guild Wars 1, it looks a little more mysterious.
Yeah.
So yeah, we crest this ridge, we see the wizard's tower, we see this big old hill, and we can see that our quest marker is at the top of the hill, so we can assume that's where Galrath is.
Right, the end is nigh.
Yeah, and if you're holding down your control key, you can actually catch a glimpse of Galrath's name at the top of the hill, and he's surrounded by bandits. We did a quest called Bandit Trouble last episode, and we both noted that we didn't see any bandits anywhere. I think
they're all hanging out with Galrath.
Yeah, I feel like, so this is part of what's supposed to be an overarching narrative for what's going on with Kryta. And I think it doesn't really work because there's not enough bandits around Kryta. Yeah. I think if they just sprinkled bandits into Kryta, this would work better. But yeah, they kind of dropped the ball on the bandit population in Kryta, unfortunately. So did you run into cultists?
Yes. The Verada cultists.
Yeah, the Verada cultists. This is super interesting. So, did you fight these Verada cultists?
I fought some sages and some apprentices.
So I wiped to the Verada cultists.
Okay.
Because the necromancers raise bone minions that shoot. Yes. They raise the ones that are like raptors on 2 legs and they shoot. They have ranged attacks. And they raise shitloads of these things. So
Yeah, they
anytime you kill one of these guys, they raise one of these bone fiends at like level 17 out of their corpse. So every time I'm killing an enemy, I'm creating another more deadly enemy. And I like double aggroed, so I've got like 2 times the amount of enemies to deal with. They're all necromancers. They're all raising bone fiends. I died. And I had to run all the way back across the entire zone to this hill.
Oh, no.
So, after I completed this quest, I came back to this group and wiped them the fuck out. Out of sheer rage.
Yeah. Well, you know, the first time that I ran this quest when I first played Guild Wars 1, my experience was much like yours. I wiped and wiped and wiped, and I think I ended up having to get help from Star in order to complete it, because it was just such a bad time. And she had heroes. I did not. I had henchmen. So she could bring some heroes along, better monks, not Alicia. And we were able to get through it that way because I was struggling. But this time around, it wasn't as bad because I remembered. And for whatever reason, I remembered the enemy density around Galbraith to be higher and than it was this time through. Is that something that you ran into as well?
Yeah, I have a note. I have a bullet point here that says, compared to the fight to get to him, Galbraith is absurdly easy.
Yeah, and the bandits that are around him are
level
warriors.
11.
Yeah, and they're warriors. They weren't like fire elementalists like we've encountered with other bandits.
Yeah.
So far.
Was there anything visually interesting about Galbraith?
I mean, no.
He's in white mantle armor.
Well, oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think so. There's no like dialogue, right? You don't talk to Galbraith, right?
No.
You just show up and you kill him. But I think what the game is supposed to be telling us is that Galbraith has defected from the Lion's Guard to the White Mantle, and the White Mantle are the ones that are running bandit raids against Crichton's citizens.
Yeah.
So the bandit issue is a White Mantle issue, right? And here we have Miraba from the last episode reporting the bandit issue to the White Mantle. Come to find out, the White Mantle are orchestrating the bandit raids.
Right. Well, and the thing that makes actually a lot of sense because First Watch Sergio, when he tells you that he wants you to go and stop Galbraith, he says that he doesn't know who he can trust within the Lion Guard.
Yeah, bingo.
So the implication there is that the White Mantle are essentially converting Lion Guard
and possibly using them as like thugs to like terrorize the countryside. Mm-hmm. Anybody they feel is disloyal, you might get a visit from the ex-Lion Guard bandit thugs. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think this quest is supposed to like tell us something about the overarching narrative of what's going on with Kryta. I think a lot of people give up on this quest and don't complete it, so they don't get that info. Yeah. And the quest also doesn't do a good job of like really laying it out for you. So you're only going to infer this information if you're like lore pilled and like really paying attention.
Right.
So yeah, after I killed Galbraith, he's a level 20 warrior. He's pretty easy. His associates are level 11, which is comical to me at this point.
Yeah.
I did go back to eliminate the Verata cultists. I went scorched earth on these motherfuckers. Not a single one of them left this zone alive. Yeah. There was vengeful wrath to behold from Aaron.
Now, did you get Verata himself to spawn?
No.
Me neither.
So I believe Verata spawns if you go through this area without this quest active.
Ah, okay.
So where Galbraith is, Verata will be there as the boss for the area. Because I remember fighting. So if you don't have Villainy of Galbraith active, there's a lot more cultists.
Yes, that's what I remember. So I must have gone into this zone multiple times.
Well, have you ever vanquished it?
I think I probably have. Maybe that's why I remember it.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, vanquishing is killing every enemy in a zone in hard mode. And Kessex is a nightmare because of the Verata, this hill here, that's covered in Verata's cultists. And Verata, who's a necromancer who's like obsessed with the Wizard's Tower, is the boss. And you just, like, there's just so many of them, it's impossible not to double aggro, right? Verata herself is a pretty tough necromancer. Like, they summon so many bone minions that in hard mode are like level 25. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I believe when I vanquished this area, I had to use a consumable set because I found it too difficult. So yeah, that's what happens if you don't have the quest active. You get to meet Verata, which if you're doing the quest, these cultists who are named like Eyes of Verata, an apprentice of Verata, it's just kind of like a weird mystery to you. You're like, who's Verata, and why are these people here? There is a necromancer skill in the game that's named like Verata's Aura or something like that.
Verata's Gaze.
Verata's Gaze, that's the one. And it's named directly after that necromancer.
Well, there's two. There's Verata's Aura as well. You're right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there's a couple necromancer skills named after this person. But yeah, we don't get to meet her because we are doing the quest, and Galrath is the boss instead. And Galrath has a skill as well that I think we get as a reward for this quest if you're a warrior. Galrath Slash.
Oh, nice.
It's not a very interesting skill. It just does a bunch of extra damage. Okay. It's like you strike for plus 30 damage or something.
Extra damage is always good.
Yeah, it's like an adrenaline version of power attack if you have a sword. Doesn't work if you have a hammer. Useless skill for a Aaron.
Right. But we also got 4,000 XP.
We got 4,000 XP. I did check my XP bar. Just in the killing of enemy mobs doing this quest, I got half a level.
Yeah, so did I.
Just the sheer amount of enemies I had to kill. And then that 4,000 XP drop got me very near level 17, and then you pinged me to go do Graven Images, and Graven Images is actually what got me to level 17.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I think I might have turned 17 right before I logged out. I can't remember, but yeah, I'm very close.
And my attributes are starting to look real nice now that I'm like almost level 20. I've got like 11 Hammer Mastery and like 10 Strength. It's looking real good, the Hammer Mastery Strength combo. Excellent. And I think that's all the content we did. And we got an entire episode out of just side quests. We didn't think we could do it. Yeah. We made it happen.
We did. We made it happen. But you know what? Like you said, they were all very interesting quests. And you do get a little bit more of that flavor that the White Mantle are not as they're not the heroes that they are trying to make themselves out to be. And the Crichton people, there's a good number of Crichton people who are just not down with them and are very suspicious of them and actively trying to work against them.
Yeah, it gives a really good sense of what's actually going on in Kryta, what the vibe is when we enter Kryta, and it's kind of the vibe of an oppressive regime, right? It's kind of the vibe of there's a little bit of underground resistance going on, right? There's a lot of, like, we had that village in Delesio Seaboard who's like, hey, we still worship the gods here. We get to Temple of the Ages, people still worship the gods there. Maraba, who's kind of just eye-rolling at the entire White Mantle and Lion Guard organizations. There's an air of discontent in Kryta that's going to be explored as we move forward. Next episode, for episode 8, we absolutely will be doing Divinity Coast and the bonus mission pack Kryta mission. I think we're just going to do those two things for the episode.
That'll take us a while. Yeah,
no, those are really chunky, really meaty, and there's going to be plenty of discussion to be had over those two things. So I think those are going to be our goal, and then we'll figure out what we want to do for episode 9. The way I originally planned the show out, we were supposed to be finished with the game at episode 10. It hasn't worked out that way.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. I'm okay with it. We're having fun at the pace at which we're playing through everything. So I think we're pretty happy. We came in a little early this episode, only an hour and 20 minutes deep. And we're finished with everything. I think an hour and 20 is plenty. I don't think people will feel ripped off. I think they'll give us a break.
I hope not.
So yeah, we will see everybody in episode 8 for some more missions and some bonus missions even. And we'll find a little bit more about the White Mantle. We'll find out a little bit more about the Unseen Ones. And maybe even a little more about the Shining Blade. So we'll see you guys then. Miko, where can people find you on the internet?
on the internet, you can find me at Inky Sticks everywhere. And yeah, and I'm following along to our Tyria Now Twitter to see what you guys have to say about different episodes. Also on the comments that you guys have been leaving on our YouTube, which have been really nice. Really, really appreciate all of the positive feedback we've been getting for the show.
Yeah, it's real nice getting just a bunch of nice people saying nice things on our comments. You hear a lot of content creators complain about YouTube comment quality, and our YouTube commenters seem to be very nice people who like the show and would like it to continue. So we are appreciative of that.
Yes.
You can follow Tyria Now for anything related to this show. And anything related to any of the content we'll be doing. Tweet at us about whatever you want. And anything related to Guild Wars, we're happy to engage you in conversation with on social media. And then follow our musician pal, Arctic's Booze Bus, on YouTube and Twitter. He does our music, and he did the little intro animation that you see in our intro and outro. So go ahead and give him some support so that he can keep doing cool stuff like that. If in case we ever want to change it up and we want to recruit him again. Yeah. That being said, I think that's going to wrap it up for episode 7, and we will see everybody for episode 8, Divinity Coast and bonus mission pack. We will see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye, guys.